Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit late this evening. Just busy trying to sort out some admin stuff, and time went a little bit over. So, welcome to February. January's over, and so it's we're into February, sunny February. Sunny certainly if you're in the southern hemisphere with us, and so February is it really is it's quite a fiery energy that's coming up for February. So January certainly got us going and these sorts of things, but February is certainly asking us to take action, and so it really is time to deal with anything you've been procrastinating about and allowing yourself to take action and do what needs to be done. So for those of you that would like to have access to the archives of this reading, of every Monday night's reading, and also access to it on a Tuesday morning, if you're in South Africa, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will make sure the link is in the messages here. But in that way, you can go back and listen. And I just had somebody today saying they were looking for a sign this week, or they were looking for something and they'd been meditating, and the message they got was to go and look through the archives, and they found a reading in the archives, and everything in the archives resonates for them and gave them the message they needed. So whilst this is a weekly prescription and very relevant to what's going on right now, the messages are quite universal in their love and in their support. And so if you happen to see it in a few weeks' time or whatever, then you're always seeing it at exactly the time that you're needing to see it. So if you like this, please like it, send it to friends, do whatever you need to do. So I'm going to start off tonight. Tomorrow is new moon. New moon is typically a time of renewal. And I'm going to start off, as always, with the crystal prescription for this week. And this week I was also asked to please include a sacred geometry pattern. I'm not sure if that'll happen every week, but certainly I was asked to do it tonight. So I've included a sacred geometry pattern that I'll talk about, and then I'm going to do the weekly message from Spirit. So the crystal that's come forward, and I've included a card from Alana Fairchild. She has a crystal oracle deck called Crystal Mandala Oracle. It is the most amazing set of healing cards to work with. I highly recommend it. And so I've included her card, and I'll include it on my page. And the crystal that's come forward tonight is black tourmaline. If you have a look in the card, you see these beautiful mandalas that you can work with. Really wonderful if you are working with crystal grids or doing something, you can do that. So black tourmaline. He has a piece of black tourmaline. I have many beautiful black pieces of tourmaline. This is, as you can see, it's a black crystal with lots of striations. It is one of the most powerful crystals for absorbing. If we think of a white crystal or clear crystal like quartz, it's an amplification crystal. It sends out light. The tourmaline is an absorbing crystal. So it's a cleansing crystal, and you can see here a purification crystal. So these are phenomenal crystals to have in your space to absorb anything that is maybe toxic or anything that is not serving your highest good. It is a stone that alchemizes it, so it takes it in, purifies it, and releases out clean energy, a bit like an oxygenation process. So wonderful crystals to have in your space. Anybody who has a healing room, it's definitely a crystal to have in your healing room. And it's one of the crystals I always recommend putting by your computer, putting in front of your TV, putting by your microwaves, putting next to your telephone, because it absorbs all the energy that comes from that as well. So the message that's coming forward here as we step into new moon is what needs to be purified. What do you need to finally let go of? And I can certainly tell you that I've been dealing with my own saboteur this week, the part of me that wants to sabotage the things in my life that I'm enjoying. And it's this niggling voice of doubt, and this niggling voice of persistence, and niggling voice of like, who are you, etc., etc. I certainly know that that's something that needs purification in my life, is to for once and for all put that voice aside and step into allowing myself to trust the love that is in my life and enjoy love the way it is. Now that'll be different for you, but this purification is like noticing what is toxic in your life. Now for me, that was an internal voice, or is an internal voice. But this could be an external voice. It could be a job. It could be a person. It could be a belief system. It could be anything that is toxic for your joy. It just robs you of joy, and it sneaks up in these most random moments. You're happy, and then something gets robbed, and there's the voice of doubt and the voice of criticism and this internal sort of sense of sabotage. And so how do you release this? You decide it's time for it to, and I'm going to do a little expletive so that I don't swear on Facebook, to F off with love and light. That enough is enough is enough. There's this real call for expansion on the planet at the moment. There is a call for love. There's a call for joy. And we sabotage ourselves so much. So purifying ourselves from anything that is bringing about toxicity in our life, which can include physically, anything that is physically toxic to your body. And anything that is in moderation could be physically toxic to your body. So noticing what brings you toxicity, what brings you down, and putting in place very sort of big steps to break up with your own addictions to this. So that is tourmaline, and you can hear it's quite a powerful message. And really that's coming forward with this energy of clearing things out. A spring clean, a purge, a release. It's enough now so that we can do the work we're here to do. And so I suppose the way to think about that, and we'll see when we do the weekly message from Spirit, is really starting to monitor yourself. What makes you feel light and what makes you feel heavy, and noticing the things that make you feel heavy are toxic, and how do you release them? So as I said, tonight I was asked to include a sacred geometry pattern. I haven't normally done this on here, but sacred geometry is one of my pure passions and joys. So maybe that's why they asked me to bring it in. I run a course for those of you who want to see it. It's a lovely course on how to work with sacred geometry and how to draw the patterns, create your own mandalas, and it's just pure magic. And the card that came forward tonight, the sort of sorry, I saw somebody's question that distracts me, so I'm here back, is Metatron's cube. So sacred geometry pattern is Metatron's cube. Now in sacred geometry, any curved line is a feminine energy, and any straight line is a masculine energy. And so Metatron's cube has got these 13 circles. 13 represents the divine feminine, and then the straight lines are the center of every circle is joined together, and that creates Metatron's cube. The circles form what is called the fruit of life, and the fruit of life is really the birthplace of anything. It really is about creating and giving birth to anything that is magnificent. Metatron's cube is the blueprint for everything of form in life. So all the platonic solids come from this. Now, I'm not going to go into a full teaching around sacred geometry, but the message of this card is, what do you need to give birth to? So we've got this purging crystal, releasing and giving birth coming in, and it's a merging of this of the masculine and feminine energies, of bringing together the structure, the form, and the desire. So the structure and the form is the masculine energy, and the desire and the sort of faith is the feminine energy. So these are two supporting messages for this week, and we'll see what the guides want to tell us in terms of thank you, Maxine. I'm not sure what you're seeing going on. You're sending me some beautiful messages, so thank you. I think I've been releasing quite a lot today, so maybe you're picking up on some of that, so thank you for your love. All right, so the weekly message from Spirit, for those of you that haven't been here, is it's like a sort of universal message. It's a bit like a weather report, and so it's available to whoever finds this message. And really, I connect with my guides. We're going to get 3 messages. What needs to be paid attention to this week, what support is available this week, and what opportunities exist for your enlightenment this week. So let us see what the messages are tonight. Right, and then after that, I'll start doing the beautiful personal messages to all of you. Right. I honestly can't make this crap up. I'm sorry, I normally say it differently, but I'm trying not to swear on Facebook. So the card has come up in terms of what needs to be paid attention to this week. And it's time to give up is the card that's come forward. And it aligns so strongly with this tourmaline message that I was just giving. What is holding you trapped? If you look at this card, it's got this beautiful image of sort of this barbed wire fence, and then it breaks and frees itself, and it starts to become a bird. And we can see that the freedom is in breaking free from this barbed wire. And so our self-imposed prisons, our self-imposed pain, the things that we're doing that hold us are very trapped into our own sort of insecurities, our own negativities. And so freedom is all in a decision. They want me to say that again. Freedom lies in a decision. It lies in a decision to cut, to break free, to say enough is enough is enough. And so really they're coming forward very strongly with this message tonight. What are you attached to that simply needs to be cut so that you can fly free? Because you're born for freedom. It is the soul's birthright. It is exactly what we're all longing for. I have so many clients coming to me and asking what is their purpose? And freedom and joy, the ability to follow your own freedom and follow your own joy. This is the path of each soul. And this is the thing that we need to be doing the most of. So what in the sort of physical, mental, emotional, spiritual realm are you attached to that is no longer serving your freedom? Yeah? And so anything that is now holding you back, it is time to surrender that over to the divine. And if you do not know how to free yourself from it, ask them to support you. They're more than willing to do what needs to be done. And so you can do a little bit of a ritual of releasing yourself, and you can really set this intention. I release myself from any karmic wounds, decisions, choices, and vows that I have made across time and space that hold me trapped and keep me separate from my freedom and my joy. So I'm not going to say that again because it won't come out exactly the same way, because I was turning that so you can get a sense of what that is and you can write it down. Do this as a ritual. Set yourself free. It is time to give up on anything that is no longer serving your joy. Yeah? It is okay to enjoy life. So what is the opportunity that then exists? What support is available this week for you? And it's the awareness that you are safe. Now, when you have a look at this beautiful card, you can see this vortex of light. Represented by a sunrise or sunset. And there's these two divers, and they're diving down to earth. And essentially, this is our commitment to life. When we think of a soul leaving the land of, the souls, I suppose, whatever we want to call that, and goes through the veil of amnesia to fall to earth, there's a choice to do that. There's a decision to do that. It's nobody pushed you. Nobody forced you. And when you enjoy the process of falling to earth, knowing that there is the parachute. When you fall to this life, you have a parachute. The parachute is your own divinity. It's your connection to source. It's a connection to your spirit. And when you activate it, you are able to land softly. But we don't activate it because we get stubbornly independent, because we live in our fear, because we're insecure, whatever it is. And so this is accessing your parachute, is that there is such a divine team supporting you in this lifetime. And accessing that guidance, that wisdom, connecting with the truth of your heart, letting yourself sit in meditation and find the core of you, the higher self that is within you, your intuition, and knowing that the wisdom you seek is within you, and everything you need is available to you in this minute and every minute. And when you do this, there is such an opportunity to expand in life, to enjoy the process, to notice this amazing journey called life. Now, both of these cards, it's time to give up and you are safe, both have the cube, this hexahedron, which is the cube. And these are all about releasing fear. It's about stability. It's about that you are safe in life. And it's a mantra we can use. I'm safe. I have access to this divine support. And the divine support is not outside of you. It is inside of you. So you are your own safety. You are able to deal with everything that exists within this lifetime. I honestly can't make this up. So the card of the opportunity that comes forward this week is get intimate with your fear. And we can see again this hexahedron. So all of these messages, all the way from the amazing tourmaline message, it's time to give up, you are safe, and get intimate with your fear, is kind of a radical week for dealing with your stuff. And when we talk about getting intimate with your fear, it's paying attention to what your fear is offering to you, but also knowing that your fear is not the decision maker in your life. Whilst fear is accurate, it's coming from a place of loss. It's coming from a place of death, possible death. Yeah, when we have a look at this, you are safe. It's rational to be scared when you jump out of an airplane. Certainly I am, and I haven't done it. I'm not sure I'm going to, and don't ask me to now. I don't want to, which is different to say I can't. But get intimate with your fear is the more that you do go into the jump, the more that you do experience what your vulnerability in this life, the more you can notice that the fear is just part of it, but not the definition of it. Because on the other side of fear is freedom. On the other side of fear is joy. On the other side of fear is experience and life, really. And so fear keeps you very static, whereas when we surrender to our fear and we notice and we find our brave, we get into the gift of our life and we start moving. We start taking action and doing the thing. Remember I said February is a month about taking action. I was doing a remote reading for somebody, I think on Friday, one of the New Year readings, and if any of you are waiting for it, it is coming. I'm sorry, it's just been a bit crazy. And the beautiful message that came forward around this Get Intimate with Your Fear card was about noticing that fear is like offering you warning signs. And the way it was described is if you're driving down the road, there's often many warning signs. There may be a warning sign of rocks falling down a cliff. There may be a warning sign about monkeys or bucks or something crossing the road. There may be a warning sign about floods. There may be a warning sign about many different things. And these warning signs are necessary because they keep us sort of focused on what possibly could be going wrong. But when you're driving down the road, when you see the warning sign, you don't stop driving. You just pay attention to see, is it there? And if there's no rocks falling off a cliff, you keep driving. If there's no monkeys in the road, you keep driving. If there's no floods, you keep driving. So the warning sign is not always a reflection of reality. It's a reflection of possibility. And possibility means it could happen. But discernment and courage means, is it happening? And to live in the possibility of, is it happening? Live in that frequency. If it's, I notice the warning, and if it is there, I have the ability to stop. But if it's not there, I can continue. So thank you, fear, for the warning, but fear is not the driver. Fear is not the discerner. Fear is not making the decisions. Because whilst there's a warning, it may not be part of reality. So this week, what is it you need to break free from? Access your divine consciousness, your safety, and move. Do what you need to do to move forward at this point in time. All right. Natasha, is Luna a lunatic due to new moon? So the word lunatic comes from lunar energy. So it came from many, many years ago, people noticing that people were a lot more emotional at full moon. Certainly more at full moon than necessarily new moon, but both full moon and new moon impact the energies and different people, different souls respond to new moon and full moon differently because it impacts the emotional processing differently. Right, yes, Shannon, perfect. There is, hey, Shannon. All right, let us see. Let us now go into the personal readings, the one-on-one readings. So lots of beautiful comments here. So if you're wanting a reading, please ask. Those of you that have been here with me long enough know that if you don't get chosen, it's not because you're not loved, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's not because your clients aren't interested in you. It's probably because there's a message that's been given that supports your awareness already. And so I get drawn to give readings to people where their message is going to serve the greatest good of everybody watching. So just keep asking, and know that I don't scroll back up. So if you want, keep asking. All right, Kira Fleming. Hi, Taryn. Anything on the cards for me today? All right, Kira, let us see what your guides want to tell you today. Okay. The message that's come forward for Kira is remove the doubt. Remove the doubt. So it feels to me like, Kira, like there's a choice that you're trying to make, or a decision that you need to make, or have actually made. And whenever you think of expressing this decision, there's a doubt that creeps in as to, is it the best thing for you? Is it the right thing? The way your guides are talking about this is, firstly, there is a need for a decision. And the need for the decision is whatever decision you make, it gets you off the merry-go-round of your life at this point in time. So there's like this energy of continuously going round and round and round in circles, like a merry-go-round does. And so when you make a decision, it gets you off the merry-go-round and it puts in something in progress. So it's not so much about is the decision the right decision or the wrong decision. It's more about make a decision and to stop playing off the various alternatives. It feels to me like you've made the decision, you're very, very close. The only thing that is stopping you from expressing it is that it's not necessarily the decision that other people want you to make. And so this is like a sort of validation of commit to the decisions you want to make, commit to the steps that you want to take. It doesn't necessarily need to be a huge decision, but it's just committing to that which you know is important for you, and remove the doubt. You cannot do the wrong thing at this point in time. It's important to do something. So I hope that makes sense for you, my love. Natasha van der Merwe. Natasha van der Merwe. So they've pulled me to you. Right. Asking for a reading. Also happy to receive through others. Well, you can do both, Natasha, tonight. So there you go. So they're saying enjoy all the readings, because really there's something magical about the way the guides work with these readings. There's something that really serves everybody in this. All right, so Natasha, the message that's come forward for you is speak your truth. Speak your truth. And you'll see this girl with this loudspeaker, and if we have a look at the sacred geometry symbol here, it's called a Vescapissus, and the Vescapissus is all about a portal it's like a portal for opportunity, a portal for growth. Now, the way your male guide is coming forward is he's showing me, let me just see what's going on here, because it's quite a big thing for them to release for you. Natasha, they're showing me that there's a tendency for you to speak up. You have the ability to express yourself, to speak up and say what's important to you. But it's almost like as it gets too important, you withdraw and you shut down and you hold yourself back. So it's almost like at the point of finalizing what you wanted to say, or coming to a conclusion, or making a decision, or bringing something into, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what I decide. So you can open up, you can share a whole lot. And then when it comes to the sort of final say, there's a tendency for you to withdraw and swallow those words and hold back. This relates to a past life wound where you got into a serious amount of trouble for speaking up. In this past life, you were a very, very disruptive soul. And disruption's great, so there's nothing wrong with that. But in this life, you were disruptive for the sake of being disruptive. So you weren't always speaking your truth, you were speaking to provoke. It's a little bit like somebody at a dinner table. It doesn't matter what anybody says, they're going to say the opposite just to provoke it. Yeah? This is not speaking your truth, this is speaking for attention or speaking for some other reason. This is the past life that you're in. But what happened for you in that lifetime is you got into serious trouble. What happened is you shared information about someone that was inaccurate and untrue. And in this past life, when you shared this information, you were really doing it to create drama. And the sad part of this is that this person that you shared information about got deeply traumatized by this, and they actually ended up killing themselves about it because they were so shamed by what you had shared. Now, they share this with you, especially with this new moon energy and this need for releasing. They share this with you because there's a time now to forgive yourself for that lifetime and to know that what you say is not going to have negative consequences for other people, especially when you speak from your heart and not from any need to disrupt. And so it's learning to trust the impact of your words and to trust the sort of consequences of your word. In that lifetime, you blamed yourself for this person's death, and it doesn't matter who the person is, they're saying it's not important for this lifetime, but you blamed yourself for the person's death and you took full accountability, and you swore at that point you would never ever speak up again. And you almost took a vow of silence. The vow of silence has been broken, but not the vow of taking accountability for the impact of your words. And you need to understand this person was going to kill themselves anyway. This had nothing to do with what you had told them and what you had said. They were already living in misery, and so you cannot create that kind of reality. And so this is releasing the belief that what you say, that there's negative consequences for other people when you say things. I hope that makes sense for you. It seems like a big thing. What you can do is you can do a little bit of a release ceremony of calling back your spirit and renouncing any vows you made to not speak up and forgiving yourself for being bored in that lifetime and doing things that maybe weren't the greatest for yourself and everybody else. We all have lifetimes like that. All right, so I think the lesson that comes from that lifetime, sorry, they're carrying on. I'm trying to move on and they're saying, no, we're not moving on yet. The lesson that comes from that lifetime is discernment. As discernment, when we use our voice, there is impact. And the discernment to speak from a place of love and speak from a place of truth is more important than just speaking for the sake of it. So there you have it, my love. I hope that makes sense for you. All right. Nalini, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Nalini. Natasha says so. I hope it resonates for you. So if you want more information, give me a shout, Natasha. Or Natasha, I think I'm pronouncing your name right either. All right, Nalini, let us see what your guides want to say to you tonight. The message is coming forward for you, Nalini, is feel the pain. Let yourself feel the pain. Let yourself feel the pain. Sorry, I'm just connecting in with what they wanted to talk to you about. There's this pattern or this behavior that tends to exist for you where you experience insecurity, or you experience heartbreak, or you experience difficulty in some way, shape, or form. And the tendency, and I certainly understand this because I know this pattern well, is to judge yourself for the feeling rather than experiencing the pain. And so when we judge ourselves for our feelings, so judgment would sound like, oh, I shouldn't have let myself, or it's my fault to get there, or I should know better, or there's this sort of dialogue of criticism of the emotions. And the emotions are never wrong, and the emotions are just a wounded part of you that are looking for some care and some empathy and some healing. And so when we notice the wounded part of ourselves and we give it what it needs, then we are able to heal that. And healing requires feeling. So we will feel something until we've healed the wound that it comes from. And sometimes we can do that quite easily, but sometimes they're quite ingrained wounds. But if we block the pain or numb the pain or avoid the pain, and all of our dependencies and addictions that we all have them. Some of them are just noticed as being more politically correct than others. I mean, if I'm addicted to my work, that's okay. But if I'm addicted to alcohol, it's not. So there's addictions in many ways. And we have addictions to people. We have addictions to many things. These are avoidance techniques to avoid ourselves from facing things. And that's why many of us avoid time alone, or time in silence, or time in meditation, or time in contemplation, or time with spirit, because often there's these unresolved feelings that come up. And because they're sore, we don't want to always deal with them. But you're a healer soul, and you're here to help others heal. And in order to do that, you have to be able to process your own pain so that you can help others process theirs. And so this awareness of the sacred place for pain, and allowing it to be the healing remedy that it is. This is an important message for you tonight. Right, so they seem to be giving longer guidance to everybody tonight. So maybe that's because of the earlier readings that have gone on. So they definitely are much deeper readings than sometimes. Nalini. Okay, there we go, Nalini. I only saw it now. I hope that resonated for you. All right, let us see who's next. Charlene, let us give you a reading. All right, Charlene. Let's see what your guides want to tell you tonight. Pleasure, Nalini. I hope that it resonates for you. They might be quite disruptive messages because that's the energy they're bringing forward tonight. All right, Charlene. Rest, take a break, indulge yourself. Rest, take a break, indulge yourself. The message that comes forward with this card is it's not so much about going on holiday, although that would be fun. It's more about embracing the same sort of spirit that you would have on holiday. When we think about going on holiday, there's this sort of relaxed anticipation of the gifts of the day. You know, we wake up and it's like, oh, I wonder what today is going to bring. And there's this sort of curiosity and playfulness that exudes through the day. And they're saying that, you know, when we do this, our body is more relaxed and we're more open. We somehow seem to have a far more relaxed way of approaching things. But we come back from holiday and we approach our day now with this sort of anticipation of dread. Now something's going to go wrong, and we start plotting and we start predicting and we start sorting and we start doing all sorts of things. When we can bring that holiday mindset to our current day, we can bring our body back into a place of relaxation. When we're in a place of relaxation, then our body has more resources because we're not clouded with adrenaline. And adrenaline is probably one of the biggest addictions that we need to heal at this point in time in our planet. And most of us are addicted to adrenaline to get us through the day. And so the more we can bring ourselves back to a place of curiosity and anticipation for the day, the more things can flow and the easier it would be. And so they're saying for you, my love, is that it really is about taking some deep breaths. You were on the Soul Compass workshop where we spoke about the breath of life and breathing into that and learning how to access life from a place of safe curiosity as opposed to intense warrior energy. I hope that makes sense for you, my darling. Right. You cannot do the wrong thing, Charlene. Cannot do the wrong thing. All right, Megan Kirsten de Klerk. Megan Kirsten de Klerk. Yes, can you have a reading? Yes, you can, my darling. So let us see what is coming up for you today. All right. All right, so Megan. Okay, the message that comes forward for you aligns with the starting messages of the night. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, it's useful to go back afterwards. Choose to trust. You can see the same sacred geometry symbol there of the cube. Choose to trust. And again, we've got this falling kind of energy. And so this idea of being caught, this idea of things being safe. Now, when this card's a little bit misleading and saying, because it's not so much about someone else catching me, it's far more about spirit or the divine catching you, and trusting that when we say spirit catching you, it's catching yourself, that you will know what to do and you'll be able to handle whatever comes your way. And so trust is really about releasing the anxiety of fearing the consequences of something. I'm going to say that again. It's about not predicting the future and creating anxiety for yourself that you can't handle it, because you can handle anything. There's absolutely nothing that you can't deal with. Absolutely nothing. And if there's anything you've learned from your life, it's this truth that there is nothing you can't handle. Maybe some things you'll handle more elegantly than others, but that's okay. And it's not about being perfect in any way, shape, or form. It's about, you can handle anything. Really, I mean, for each of us, there is moments in our lives of profound heartbreak, difficulty. If I'd asked you years ago, would you be able to deal with that? You would have said no, but you do, and you are. And so you can. And so if this is the truth, then there's nothing to predict in terms of fear in the future. Because anything that does manifest or create, that you create, either because of intention or just because it's the way life is and there's a level of fate sometimes involved, you can handle it. You've got this. So you can trust yourself. You trust yourself to navigate life. That you truly are able to do so. And that, there may be some things we don't want to learn how to handle, maybe some things we don't know right now how to handle, but in the moment you will know how, and if you don't know how, you will find out how, and if you can't find out how, somebody will show you how. And so the only thing we need to do is learn how to be present and know how to ask. And when we can learn to be present and know how to ask, then there is absolutely nothing that we can't handle. So I hope that makes sense for you, my darling. Right. Liz. Let us see what your guides want to tell you tonight, Liz. Oh, there seems to be a stuckness. So I'm not sure if that's part of your reading, but there's like a stuckness happening in the cards. So everything normally serves. So let us see. All right. So the message is coming forward for you. Excuse me there. Assert your boundaries. Oh, Liz, these same messages come out so many times here. So assert your boundaries. And when you have a look at this, you'll see this guy standing in the doorway, and there's a sort of sense of stability in the boundaries he's created. But the thing that's quite important, if you have a look at it, I hope you can see, is his hand on his heart and how this heart chakra illuminates up into his throat area. And so it's not only about knowing your boundaries, it's about saying them. Saying what you agree to and saying what you don't agree to. So many of us do not make it clear. I know that I continue to learn this lesson on a daily basis. That when we say yes, do we mean yes? And when we say no, do we mean no? And it sounds like a crazy thing for us to bring up. But often we're thinking no, we don't want to. No, it's not fair. No, I don't have the time. No, it's not something I want to do. And we say yes. And we say yes because we're trying to be polite and we don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. And it's safer for us to say yes and we'll just deal with ourselves later. But every time there's an experience of no on the internal and an expression of yes on the external, there's a rejection of ourselves. And every time we reject ourselves, the voice of our truth gets a little bit more silent. And so sometimes it could even be honoring that by saying, I want to say no, but I am saying yes. At least then there's a correlation of expression of your knowingness. The same is true when we do it the opposite way around, they're saying, when we are saying no and we mean yes. So we get an opportunity, and in the Soul Compass workshop, I was talking about how 2019 has come forward as the year of let's dance from spirit. And when somebody says let's dance, do you say yes? When an opportunity knocks, do you say yes? And every time fear or anxiety or responsibility or anything gets in the way and we say no instead of yes, the same thing happens. The same thing being the universe is not going to continue sending opportunities forever. Not that as a punishment, but they're going to give it to people who are saying yes. Why? Because it's easier. It's just easier. Who wants it? Who wants the opportunities? And so when somebody says, can I get you a glass of tea? Yes. Yeah, when you're saying yes, when you want to accept something and agree to it, then say yes. And so the card that's coming forward for you, my love, is noticing this disparity between your yeses and nos, and noticing when you're feeling no, saying yes, and vice versa. And so this is really about getting clear on your own voice aligned to your boundaries. Sending you so much love, darling. All right, let's see. All right, Heather. I'm so sorry, my love. I had a miscarriage. Do I open myself up to trying again, or do I just accept that it happened and just leave it be? First off, I am sending you a huge, big dose of love. And one of the things that often happens with miscarriage is it's got a lot of grief in it. There's a lot of loss, and sometimes that loss is overlooked by society, by people around us. So allowing yourself to experience the feeling of loss and not doubt it or judge it is a really important part of healing from this. Can you tell me how far you were? Let's see if I can connect with the soul for you. And then I'll get a message from your guides as well. So Heather, let's see if we can connect with the soul and your guides. Okay, Heather, if you're still there, let me know how far you were. All right. Okay, Heather. Here's a message from the guides, and then I'll see if we can connect with the soul. It's not seeming obvious. Okay, so the card that's coming forward from your guides is trust your inner knowing. Trust your inner knowing. And so this is really about Okay, 5 or 6 weeks. Okay. This is about the best way I can describe the way they're showing it is that the healing lies in that you did nothing wrong and there's nothing that went wrong here. That actually this is exactly the way it was supposed to be. The soul that you had conceived, just connect fully with it so I can give you a full message. So the soul that you conceived is quite a playful soul. It seems more masculine, so probably a little boy kind of soul. And he comes forward almost in this sort of like dance of playfulness, so very much playing with the idea of coming to life. And so when he decided, and let's remember, souls have 9 exit points when it comes to exiting. For the first 3 are in pregnancy, the 6-week mark, the 3-month mark, and at birth. That's why we have these as points. And so souls can choose to leave. And so he comes forward with the sort of idea that he was toying with the idea of coming to earth, and then backed off and decided, not now, not my time, and not necessarily the right place. This happens. This is not a punishment. It's not something anybody did wrong. It's almost an opportunity to make sure the right soul comes forward for you. And so the idea of, if I'm not the best soul for you, he says, then there is a good soul for you. And I don't want to take up the space if there's a better soul that's connected to you for your life journey. Because remember, in terms of soul contracts, it's the one contract we don't choose. The children choose us. And so when I get the message, want to try again, I get no reason from a divine aspect not to. And you do need to trust your body, and you do need to trust yourself, that there is nothing that you've done wrong and nothing that you could have done to prevent this. And so, not going into any sense of belittling stories or shameful stories about yourself or your body or your femininity or anything like that is part of this healing. He just says kind of like, and he, that's not dismissing the pain. It's just for him, it just wasn't the right timing. And so he steps away and says that he's made space for another child to come forward. And it seems to be that there's many that are interested, many that are keen. It sounds a bit like, I'm not laughing because of your pain. I'm laughing because the way they're showing it. It's a bit like a dating site. They're saying like, there's plenty available, plenty wanting to come forward. So the more you can trust your body, trust yourself, trust your timing, trust when you're ready, it'll be there. And there's nothing you've done wrong, nothing you could have changed in this scenario. So I hope that makes sense for you, my love. I'm sending you a huge hug, and please know that any pain you're feeling is real pain, and to let yourself work through the grief of the loss. So I hope that helps to some extent. Right, so let us see who is next. Tracy Ferguson, can you guide me on whether I should stay or whether I should go? Should I stay or should I go now? If I stay, there will be trouble. It will be double. I'm not sure if anybody knows that song. It's not normally. It's fine, Heather. Absolutely fine. You're fine. Do not trust yourself. So that's where that message is coming from, Heather. All right. So, Tracy, the message that's coming up for you is coping is not the same as healing. Coping is not the same as healing. And you'll see this woman here. It's very dark in my room here tonight. You'll see this woman, she's got a mask, and then there's a sad face and a happy face here. And the message is coming forward for you is it's not so much about the decision to stay or go. It's more about honoring what's driving the decision. What I mean by this is that the choices is one thing enough. We get these opportunities to make choices. Every minute of every day we can make choices. And so much of guidance is about own the choices you make. Choices are important. You're accountable for your life. And when we look at anything to do with the world of personal accountability, personal expression, stepping out of your victim, it's owning the choices you make. But what's more important when we look at spirituality or spiritual growth is what drives the choices. Is the choice I'm making because I'm scared, or is the choice I'm making because I'm repeating an older wound, or is the choice I'm making because it truly moves me forward onto my expansion? And so I was doing a reading for someone today, and every part of her just wants to get on a plane and run away from what's going on because it seems wrong, but that's her pattern. She's always running away. So in this stage was stay and face the rejection, face the difficulty, face what needs to be faced. Now, I'm not saying that that's the guidance they're giving you. They're saying you need to spend a little bit of time honoring yourself as to what would be the choice that frees you. And the choice that frees you is not the safe choice. Remember the reading from the beginning of the session. I'm not sure if you were online at the beginning. So if you want to go back and listen to the first 3 cards from this reading, because you'll get a lot of guidance there, they're saying. And so it's not always the choice that is the safest choice. Often the thing that what makes us feel safe is not necessarily the choice. It's the choice for coping. Whereas the choice for healing might be, what's the bravest choice here? What's the choice that's going to be the bravest thing for you to do? And not the bravest because it's making you face your fear, the bravest because it makes you confront something in yourself that you haven't wanted to confront before. And so they're not giving the answer. I wish I could say to you, you must go or you must stay. But they're saying, sit in some meditation, and if you need some more in-depth guidance of what underpins these decisions, and what's a repetitiveness of a pattern, and what is the courageous choice that will set you free. And in that courageous choice, you'll be facing some of the things that you haven't wanted to face before. Okay, sending you lots of love. It sounds like there's a little bit of introspection that's necessary there, my love. All right, let us see who's next here. Oh, so great, Elizabeth. It's lovely to see you. I think I saw earlier that you were asking for a reading, so your name's been found. So let's see what it is your guides want to tell you tonight, Elizabeth. Right. Okay, Elizabeth. Okay. The message is coming forward is a card that we've seen already tonight. Speak your truth. Speak your truth. So, Elizabeth, this seems to be related to expressing yourself, but it's got a lot to do with writing. And so this is, they keep giving me, I must tell you to write. All right, write. Do writing more. Writing your stories, writing your poems, writing your blogs, writing your stuff. Write. They're giving me. And so the absolute, I mean, I can't make it clearer. They're just going, tell her to write. Tell her to write. Tell her to start speaking her truth, which is not in the voice way that they're doing. It's in the written way and the expressive way. So I'm not sure if you're still wanting to write, or you are writing, or you're needing validation to continue writing, what's going on. But it's a very clear, and it's like one word, exclamation mark, write. And then exclamation mark. They're quite stroppy tonight, your guides. So I don't know what they're going on about. So I hope that makes sense for you, my love. All right, let us see here. Pleasure, Tracy. Cooper, hello. How are you, Cooper? Are you keeping well? I'm going to trust the cards when I give you a card tonight. Right, let us see what your guides want to tell you tonight, Cooper. Right. Okay, Cooper. Pleasure, Elizabeth. I hope it makes sense to you, my love. Cooper, happiness is an inside job. Happiness is an inside job. There is no one, nothing, or anything that can make you happy, and equally there is no one, nothing, or anything that can make you unhappy. What this does not mean is that we don't have emotions responding to people. We do. We have emotions, and somebody does something and we have this euphoric feeling. We have a sense of gratitude, we have a sense of joy, but it's not them doing it to us, it's us allowing ourselves to feel the happiness or to feel it. And once we create the dependency and we use words like, you make me feel, and in the same way, you make me feel unhappy, we kind of distance ourselves from the experience of owning our own emotional experience in response to someone. And so when I notice that I'm with someone and I am happy, then that's information for me that this is probably somebody that is somebody I enjoy spending time with, somebody that resonates with my soul, somebody who connects with me. And that may be for a minute, and that might be for 15 years, and that might be for a lifetime. But we cannot transfer the responsibility to them to make us happy, or to them for blaming them for making us unhappy. It is a deeply, deeply personal experience. Like when we make our own sense of peace and joy our responsibility, it means that we take accountability for how we show up in the world, and we don't expect others to do that for us. And so this removes dependencies and removes addictions and removes codependent kind of relationships. And it really takes us into a deep place of personal power. This is not saying, and it's really important that I say this, this is not saying that, others, that you aren't happy with other people. You absolutely can be. It's just not giving them the responsibility for it. And we certainly need people in our lives that contribute towards our sense of joy, but it's not their responsibility. It's our gift that we are, and allowing ourselves to see that. All right, so there we have it. That brings us to the end of tonight's readings. I hope you enjoyed them. If you would like to listen to the full reading, you can do so here. Otherwise, I'm going to post the link to the YouTube channel, and you can listen and get all the archives there. I will also post the cards that I drew tonight, and there are also all the workshops that have been posted for this year. So the calendar's launched, and it's just one that I'm needing to still post, but there's some really, really lovely workshops. One of our brand new workshops is the Joy of Journaling, which is going to be an amazing weekend of heart healing, and you're going to do all sorts of different journaling techniques of connecting with your own spirits and connecting with your own heart. So have a look out for that. Otherwise, I will see you all next week. Sending you lots of love. Be kind and gentle to yourself and others this week. Namaste.